When I started a night janitor job at a high school, it felt like a quiet gig. Just me, Henry, and a whole lot of silence. I was a college student working part-time, and Henry was in his 50s, the kind of guy who looked like he'd seen everything and cared about none of it. We each had our side of the building. I took the west wing, he handled the east. We didn't cross paths much. On my first shift, Henry pulled me aside before we clocked in. "This place gets strange after dark," he said, not looking at me. "You'll hear things. See things, maybe. Just keep moving," I thought. He was messing with me. Some initiation scare. But the way he said it? Flat. Like it wasn't a warning, more like a routine reminder. The first week was uneventful, just long stretches of mopping and sweeping under flickering lights. But then I started noticing things. Doors I'd locked would be open again, PA speakers crackling with static in empty classrooms. The janitor closet light kept turning on by itself, even though the switch was broken. Once, I found a row of chairs lined up neatly in the middle of the hallway. I hadn't touched them. I asked Henry about it. He didn't laugh, just said, "Most don't last more than a week. They get that feeling, like the building's watching." He told me 2 janitors had quit the month before. One stopped showing up entirely. The other turned in his keys at 3 a.m. and walked out without a word. I started keeping my headphones in, but the unease didn't go away. I'd catch glimpses of movement in rooms I'd already cleaned. The sound of slow footsteps behind me when I turned off the lights at the end of a hall. Always just one too many steps. One night, around 2 a.m., I finished early and decided to check on Henry. His side was spotless, but it felt colder. Wrong. I followed the faint hum of the buffer machine toward one of the science rooms. I peeked through the door's narrow window. Henry was standing there, in the dark, not cleaning, just standing still, facing the corner. The buffer wasn't even plugged in. He didn't move, didn't acknowledge me. I waited. Nothing. Eventually, I walked away. I told myself I imagined it, that I was overtired. But the next night, the same thing. Same room, same posture. And again the night after that. When I asked Henry the next day how his shift went, he looked at me for a beat too long and said, "Some things clean themselves if you leave them alone." I never asked him again. I quit 2 nights later. Told the school I had exams. They didn't question it. Henry just nodded when I said goodbye. But every now and then I still think about that room. About what I saw. And about what I didn't see. Because on my last night, as I was leaving, I passed by that same window one last time. And Henry wasn't in the room, but the buffer was running. And something was still facing the wall. The job was supposed to be easy. I was covering a few overnight shifts at a 24-hour storage facility on the edge of town. Empty rows of metal units, motion lights, a small office with coffee that tasted like dirt. I was told I'd mostly just be babysitting security monitors and making rounds every hour. No big deal. The first couple of nights were uneventful. A stray cat tripped one of the cameras. A couple argued while moving boxes into a unit. Nothing serious. But on the third night, I started noticing something strange. A door to Unit 137, halfway down the north row, would always be slightly open during my rounds. I'd close it, tug it shut, even lock it when I had the master key. But the next time I passed, it would be open again. I checked the records. No one had rented 137 in months. On night 4, I sat, staring at the cameras. Around 2:30 a.m., I saw it again. The door to 137 slowly rolling upward. No one inside, just the metal creaking higher until the camera cut out for a few seconds. When it came back, the door was closed. I thought maybe the feed was glitching, but when I walked down the row, I noticed fresh drag marks in the gravel, like something heavy had been pulled out of the unit and across the lot. They stopped a few feet short of the fence and then just ended. By now, I was on edge. I asked the day manager about 137. She just shrugged and said the unit was empty, probably just a faulty latch. But that night, everything escalated. I was watching the monitors when motion alarms went off, one after another. First the north row, then the east, then the west. Every screen started flickering with movement, like someone was walking past each unit. But the shapes were wrong. Too tall, too thin. Their shadows stretched across the gravel like they were bending toward the cameras. The door was wide open. Something was inside. It looked human at first, shoulders hunched, long arms. But its face, the camera couldn't keep it in focus, just a blur where the features should be. It turned slowly toward the lens, and then the monitor cut to static. I grabbed the flashlight and the master key, stupid enough to think I could handle it. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely hear my own footsteps. When I reached the north row, every single door was shut, silent. Except for 137, it was open, empty. I stepped inside, the beam of my flashlight shaking against the metal walls. Nothing but dust and a single old chair. For a moment, I let myself believe it was all in my head. Then the unit door slammed down behind me. I spun around, dropped the flashlight, scrambled for the latch, but the lock had clicked shut from the outside. And just before my flashlight rolled out of reach, I saw something else in there with me. It had been standing in the corner the whole time. I don't remember much after that, just blind panic. Somehow the door rolled open, and I ran. I never went back to Unit 137. I worked the overnight shift at a gas station off Highway 29, the kind of place that never sees more than 3 customers after midnight. I was the only one on duty, just me, the buzzing fluorescent lights, and the hum of the coolers in the back. It was close to 2 a.m. when a car pulled up, beat-up sedan. I barely looked up as the driver came inside. At first, nothing seemed off, just a man in a dark jacket. But he didn't grab anything, didn't speak. He just stood in the aisle, hands at his sides, staring. Not at the drinks, not at the chips. At me. I cleared my throat, asked if he needed help. No response. He didn't blink. He just watched. After about a minute, he turned and walked out. No purchase, no gas, just left. I was rattled, but weird stuff happens at night shifts. I shook it off. 10 minutes later, headlights pulled into the lot again. Another car. Another stranger walked in. This one was different, taller, shaved head. But he did the exact same thing. Stood in the middle of the store, silent, staring at me. For almost a full minute. Then turned and left. Now my nerves were shot. I locked the bathroom door from behind the counter and kept my phone in my hand. I told myself it was a coincidence, just odd customers back to back. But then another car pulled up, and another. Within the hours, 6 different people had walked in. None of them bought anything, none of them spoke. They just stood there, eyes fixed on me, like they were waiting for something. By 3 a.m., there were 3 of them inside at once, spread out, all facing me. And more, waiting by the pumps, unmoving silhouettes under the orange lights. I called the manager. No answer. I called the police. The line rang and rang, then cut to silence. I thought about bolting out the back door, but I was afraid of what I'd find there, so I stayed behind the counter, gripping the bat we kept under the register. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold it. At some point, I must have blinked too long, because when I opened my eyes again, the store was empty. Every single one of them was gone. No cars, no headlights disappearing down the highway, just silence. I quit the next morning, and every time I drive past that station now, the lot looks empty. But sometimes, just for a second, I swear I see someone standing by the pumps, watching.